Okay, so I've
Who's
done that.
on? Okay.
No, me.
Okay.
I think she was talking to me, not you, Maria. Yeah, yours is
Okay.
perfect. Yeah, you're perfect. Okay, so I've done
Who's
that.
on? Okay.
No, me.
Okay.
I think she was talking to me, not you, Maria. Yeah, yours is perfect. Yeah, you're perfect. Okay, so I've done that. Okay. No, me. I think she was talking to me, not you, Maria. Yeah, yours is perfect. Yeah, you're perfect.
Why is this thing repeating and repeating?
I think it's from the because I think I'll have to switch it off. I was live on Zoom, so I think it's repeating from the Zoom. So maybe
It's
when we
echoing.
finish, sorry, yeah, I've switched it off. I was live on YouTube, so I think that was what was causing the trouble, but I've switched that off. So I think when we finish, I will then upload on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's give a few minutes, maybe 2 more minutes, then we'll start off at 10 minutes. Sorry, 5 minutes past 10. So in 2 minutes time, we'll just
Okay.
start. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Your headroom again, no. Looks like, is it just from my end?
No.
Ma'am.
Morning, how are you?
Is our headroom okay?
I think it's from your end because I can see her perfectly.
Now it's okay now. It's back again. I think it went off before again.
Yeah, I think
okay now.
when I move forward,
Yes.
then it cut off my head. So I'll just have to remember not to move forward. Okay, so it's 5 minutes past 10. So we'll just start. Welcome and thank you for joining us today on Sustainability Insights with Grace Fatugbe. I'm your host, Grace Fatugbe. I'm dedicated to making sustainability understandable and relevant. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Maria Sheu, who is the creative director and founder of Mache Candles, to discuss illuminating sustainably. Maria has a background in architecture and a passion for candles and diffuser. She's my go-to person for exquisite fragrances that even my sister-in-law, who is based in the UK, can't resist. She actually orders her diffusers and candles from Mache Candles. So you can imagine the quality and fragrances that comes from Mache Candles. If you're like me and are devoted to candles and diffuser, but you're concerned about the environmental impact of what you enjoy, then you're in the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's explore how we can illuminate sustainably together. So Maria, thank you and welcome to Sustainability Insights with Grace Fatogbe. It's an amazing pleasure to have you. You trained as an architect. So I want to find out what inspired you to transition from being an employee to becoming an employer, and not just an employer, you focused on manufacturing candles and diffusers.
Hello and good morning. Thank you for the brilliant introduction. So my interest in moving to be an entrepreneur, I always knew that eventually I would want to work on my own because I wanted to have flexibility to do what I wanted flexibility for myself, time, freedom. So right from when I was employed, I worked towards journey through candle making. While I was a student in Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, we used to spend the night, burning through those slim taper candles that we used to know back in the days. And
Yeah.
those candles used to burn through like no man's business. So I just knew that there has to be a better way to make these candles. So that was when I just got interested in the whole candle thing, because as the years went by, the quality of those candles declined. So even after school, when I started working, I now started researching aggressively. And in 2011, as I was researching, I found out that high quality candles can actually be made handcrafted, and which gives it unique and creative touch. And then I now realized that I could add like capture local interest in the candle making. And that was when I now decided to embark on the journey to do the training. So I applied to do the training. And then after the training, a year after, I started the business.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So I love the journey that it's something you saw a problem in the market and you wanted to address it. So it's exciting when a business actually identifies a problem and tries to solve it. So now everybody is talking about the impact of what we do on the environment. And
Yes.
candle, from a layman's perspective, you're burning something. So is there an environmental impact to burning candles?
There's actually a misconception that candles contribute to like the indoor air pollution, and the quality of when candles are burning, the contribution to any form of pollution in the air is like is either like non-existent or is very minimal. So depending on the materials that those candles are made out of, like depending on the wax, the wick, and the fragrances, that will contribute to the quality of the burn quality of the candle. So it's just a misconception that the candles actually um pollute the air. And then if the candles are made properly, the wicking is right, there's no soot that will be emitted. So the quality or the burn quality is what really matters. And it's just a misconception. There hasn't been any research anywhere that has found candles guilty of causing any serious health problems. And then also, some people claim that candles cause respiratory problems. So what I will say to that is, in general, if you have any form of allergy to fragrances, whether it's going to be candles or you're using air freshener, aerosol, any type of home fragrance product would give you those allergies, and it's not going to be candles alone. So there are so many misconceptions, and there's nothing, yes, from research,
Yeah,
we've not
thank you
found
so much.
anything culpable.
Thank you so much, Maria, for demystifying some of our misconceptions. So there's a poll, and what we're trying to achieve with the poll is for people to answer so that we get their understanding of how much they know about candle making. And then after this interaction with you, Maria, we'll still set the poll to see if people have now learned something about candle making. So for our participants that have joined us on the Zoom meeting, I'm not sure those watching us live on YouTube can actually access the poll. So for those on our Zoom call, please answer the poll. So my next question, Maria, is actually the fact that it's about the misconception that burning candles affects the air quality. So my question to you is, what materials do we use in making candles? Because it might be the material that gives people the misconception that it is affecting the air quality. So what are the materials that are used in making candles?
Okay, in general, a candle consists of wax, which could be derived from different materials. We have paraffin, and then we have natural waxes like beeswax, soy wax. Beeswax is derived from honey, it's a byproduct of bee is derived from the bee. And then soy wax is derived from soya beans. We have palm wax, which is derived from palm oil. We have gel wax, which is synthetic. So the wax in general, it's the base, and then we have the wick. The wick we have cotton braid, we have wood wicks, we have cotton that have zinc core inside, and then we have cotton that have the lead core, and then we have the fragrance oils. Some candles are fragrance free, and then some have fragrances, and then we have color. So some use dye and some don't use dye. So those are the basic components of a candle. And then some are freestanding and some are inside a container. So that is what constitutes of a candle.
Yeah, excellent. So you mentioned various types of wax. You mentioned the paraffin, beeswax, soy wax. So how can I, as a consumer, differentiate between eco-friendly and non-eco-friendly candles and diffusers?
Okay, so we have to actually know what eco-friendly is. So eco-friendly means environmentally friendly, which refers to products and practices that minimize harm to the environment and conserve natural resources and promote sustainability. So the term eco-friendly considers the impact of the ecosystem, the climate, and human well-being. So some of the ways you can identify candles that are eco-friendly is by the ingredients. When they say, so some clearly put it on the label, they put the eco logo, or when you see something is made with natural wax and then it's colorless, some the essential oil, and then the brand value. So a lot of brands actually promote when they're using sustainable products. So it's basically natural waxes, and then the brand value, when you see maybe their production process, if they upload it, and then their sustainability claims. And then from the labeling also, you can tell some would write vegan friendly. And then when you look at the packaging, minimalistic packaging also tells that is eco-friendly. Biodegradable materials also for the packaging. If you notice, there are a lot of maybe the craft colored materials that are used for either the product label or the boxes. Also, those contribute to sustainability. So, and then recyclable packaging. So that is number one. When you use packaging that you can recycle easily, then you know that you're contributing to eco-friendly, you're using eco-friendly products.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I have a personal experience with Mache candles about recyclable products, because I know I always bring back my bottles and then you refill the candles. Yeah, even my diffuser bottles, I think I've had them for several years now. So that's a very good way to search. But then you mentioned their sustainability claims. The challenge I have as an accountant with sustainability claims is that anybody can claim anything. So how do we ensure that once somebody is claiming to be sustainable, that that person is actually practicing sustainability and not just doing greenwashing, claiming what they're not doing?
Okay. I think that for a start, from even the packaging, you can tell, because some people use a lot of like packaging that they can use less of, you know. And some people, like those that are into the sustainability thing, you'll notice that they avoid using maybe plastic, heavy plastic. Even if they're going to use plastic, it's going to be minimal. They're, you know, they don't over, you know, some luxury brands love to over package. They spend so much money on the packaging that even when you receive it, you may not have any use for the box, but you just have the feeling that, no, I can't throw this away. Or if you throw it away, it just ends up like, you know, it's, you know, so those kind of, so if you claim that you're sustainable and you're using those kind of implicating packaging, then, you know, obviously from there, I think that is number one. And then also in terms of sustainable, and then you're using maybe like to the sustainability because it's not a renewable material. It's not like using natural products derived from natural sources like the soy wax, which is grown from the environment and it's environmentally friendly. So those kind of things will be what would give away companies that claim to be sustainable but they're not using sustainable materials.
Yes, thank you so much, Maria. And then for me, one of my sustainability checks is the fact that a manufacturer allows me to bring back my used candle bottles. So for me, that's a check. For a manufacturer that would tell me, you know what, I actually prefer you to come with your empty bottles instead of always buying a new bottle. I think for
Of
me, that's my,
course,
and
you
that's
can
one.
use those bottles several times. You can use them 10 times, 20 times. As long as there's no crack,
Yeah.
then you can continue to use them because most of the time the materials are either glass or aluminium tins, and you can use them over and over again. So what some companies also do is you can actually just walk in and they have like a big size container, probably 5 liters, and you can just go and pump out either like the diffuser or the hand lotion. So you go in with your own container and you just dispense from there. So those kind of practices are also good. Instead of even buying a refill, if you know you're going shopping, you just go with your empty container and then you just dispense. Either hand wash, lotion, diffuser. I know it's a common practice with companies that offer this sustainability, that are conscious about sustainability.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so, so much, Maria. So now I wanted to look at what are innovative, sustainable practices within the candle and diffuser industry. I remember there's a particular fragrance I used to love. And then all of a sudden, I could no longer get it from you. You had to come up with an alternative. So what led to that transition away from that fragrance I love to the one that I'm now using?
Okay, so the company that I buy most of my raw materials from. So the number one thing is your supplier. You have to get a reliable supplier that publishes data on every raw material that you're buying. So the main supplier that I use for my fragrance oil, at one point in time, I think from 2020, they realized that some of the fragrance oils contain ingredients that may not be friendly, especially even for the manufacturers, because they realize a lot of people produce in small scale and produce at home. So if it's not industrial, they'll use the mask and all the PPEs. So they eliminated some of these ingredients that they felt were either, will I say, what's the word? Is it cancerous? There's this term. Anyway, that they were not really safe. And in the process of reformulating these fragrances that had carcinogens, or they
Carcinogens, yeah.
just felt, yes, that had carcinogens, they just felt they weren't really friendly and they weren't safe. So they eliminated some of these ingredients. So after eliminating these ingredients, then some of these fragrance oils now were not compatible for making reed diffusers. And they published it on their website. They informed us that these fragrances, they've removed this and this. These are phthalate free, and these contain these ingredients and that ingredient. And now it's safe for the body. You can make lotion, but you can't make this product. So they establish everything. So some of those fragrance oils were now not compatible for making. which I was okay with because of the higher good of it. Okay, did you just go off?
Yes, I couldn't hear you for a bit, Maria. So maybe you could repeat the last thing you
Can
said.
you
I think
hear me?
I can hear you. Maybe you should
Can you
switch
hear
off.
me?
I can hear you. Maybe you should switch off the video so that it won't affect the... Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I was like, after the reformulation, I was okay with the fact that the fragrance oils, some were not compatible for reed diffuser making anymore because it was for a higher good. It was for a greater good for the environment. So we just got substitutes. And from time to time, I communicate with the company. They call me every quarter from the US, and then we discuss, and then they look into these things and they update us on if they would still reformulate for us to be able to get some to use for the reed diffusers. If not, they're compatible for candle making and they're safe for body products also.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. I like the fact that you're dealing with suppliers that are very transparent, so you're able to tell the input into your products eventually, because one of the challenges actually with sustainability generally is it might not necessarily be you, the manufacturer, it's actually along your supply chain because you don't have control over them. And a lot of suppliers do not even have the processes in place to provide the information you need to make informed decisions. So it's really a good thing that you, in selecting your suppliers, you looked for suppliers that are transparent, that provide as much information as possible, and that you went the extra mile to look for a supplier who is also conscious about sustainability, conscious about the impact on human health, because another challenge that we have with human health is actually volatile organic compounds. They're known as VOC because they actually
Yes.
have impact on human health, and a lot of things that we use and discard that get into the landfills, when they are burned, they actually emit volatile organic compounds causing problems for human health. So really, really excellent that people should learn that you should look into your entire value chain, because it's not just about you. You could be doing all the right things, but the people supplying your input might be your weakest link, and then they pull all your entire process down the drain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are there certifications or labels that consumers can look out for while purchasing candles that at least allows them know that, okay, these people say this is soy wax, and I'm sure that it is soy wax? Are there any certifications, anything people can look at?
Well, there's just the logo. Some, as I said, they put the eco-friendly logo, and then if they just say that it's natural wax or soy wax or beeswax. But in general, candle making, the certification is not that big. But those kind of things are what would prompt you to know that you're using sustainable, you're buying a sustainable product. So the label, and then the type of wax. So the
Excellent.
certification is not really, there isn't really any certification per se.
Wow, excellent. So interestingly, Nigeria has adopted the IFRS sustainability standards, International Financial Reporting Standards, which
Okay.
aims to allow entities provide information on their sustainability, on their sustainable practices. They are to identify their sustainability risk and opportunities and provide information on that. And even small, medium SMEs would be required to be reporting their sustainable practices using the IFRS sustainability standards by 2030. So that means that by 2030, that could serve as some sort of certification, because when you provide your sustainability information, there's a requirement for assurance. That means to have an auditor review and say that this claim that this person has made is correct. So maybe that can now serve as some sort of certification that
Yeah,
Nigeria can look out for, because it's not
true.
just targeted at the big firms, it cascades down all the way to SMEs. So that's exciting. That's an exciting thing. So how can we prolong the lives of our candles and diffusers so that we reduce waste?
Okay, so it starts with your how you care for your product. Number one, you make sure you read the product care on either the packaging or what the manufacturer has provided. And then for your candles, always trim your wick to a 1/4 inch. Anytime you're going to light the candle, make sure that the wick is low, because that low wick is what will now make the candle burn clean. And then also, the first time you light your candle, make sure that the candle burns to the edge of the rim. And obviously, it has to also do with the quality of the candle that you buy. But I'm assuming that you are using a premium quality candle. And then always store your candle away from dirt and dust. When you're going to burn your candle, don't burn it close to a window or the fan, because those kind of droughts would now cause the candle to burn excessively. So, and then obviously it will burn very fast and it will not burn clean. And then for diffusers, make sure that you always change your reeds. The reeds actually expire because it carries oils through a capillary action and disperses the fragrance in the air. So after a while, those sticks get blocked. So you should change your reeds after a while. And then when you're going to extinguish your candle, don't blow it out like those kind of things are what can actually cause pollution itself, because the candle, will start moving about. You can just either dip it in the wax with a stick or use a snuffer. So those kind of things will help you preserve your candle well, and then it would burn well, and then you will enjoy the candle over a long period of time.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. I want to digress a little.
Okay.
Candles, burning candles, from my layman perspective, would emit some sort of heat. And Nigeria
Yes.
is very hot right now.
Yes.
So how do I continue to enjoy burning my candles and not make my environment hotter than normal, that will now require me to use maybe an air conditioning to cool it, and I'm using excess energy, bearing in mind that electricity now isn't that cheap. Even if I get it from the electricity grid, it's not as cheap as it used to be. And then the alternative is using diesel, and I don't want to increase my environmental impact. How do I achieve that?
Okay, so I think what I would say is, we have different sizes of candles, and depending on the quality, a smaller size candle can actually give the effect of the fragrance diffusion. So maybe you would have to compromise on, instead of lighting a big size, maybe multi-wick candle, if let's say the place is hot and you still want to enjoy the fragrance, then you would choose to light the smaller one, because that would now reduce the amount of heat that it would emit. And then you put it in a place, like a safe place, that there's no draft there, if you must burn your candle, because candles are also relaxing. So, and the heat that it emits is actually negligible. But if you feel that it's going to impact on the heat that you're feeling, which is psychological, probably, then you can reduce the size. Instead of burning the large size, just burn the smaller size, and then you can enjoy it and relax. And then you can put it a bit far away from you.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So upcycling is a trending topic in sustainability, and upcycling simply means that I have a product that I no longer need. I can change it to use it for something else. So how can we repurpose candles and use diffuser bottles? How can we upcycle them so that we don't throw them if we no longer need them?
Okay, so I would start with, let's say, the candle containers. If you've refilled and reused them several times, and either you're tired of reusing them or it has a crack or something, and instead of throwing them out, one, you can just put some soil and plant the small. You can use them as small potted plants.
Wow, excellent. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can use them as small potted plants for small potted plants. Then you can also put flowers in them. You can put you can use them as like a makeup brushes holder. I do that. You can also put it on your desk and put your biros and your stationery pen holder. So you can you can put like your cotton pads inside, and you just wash the container clean and put your cotton pad, cover it, and then you can put cotton boards inside. So there are several ways to repurpose the candle containers instead of throwing them out if you still love the beauty, but maybe it's cracked and you don't want to reuse them. And then for the diffuser, you can use them as vase. You can pour water and put like flowers, roses, or whatever inside.
True. I
Even
never.
full plants. You can
Wow.
even put full plants inside and just keep the bottle. So I think that's a way to upcycle the
Excellent.
containers.
Excellent. I hope our listeners have learned something on how to upcycle, repurpose containers that were previously for candles and diffusers. But how do you clean the containers? I know for diffuser, I'm sure once you use some sort of detergent, how to get out the oil. But for the ones that are for candles, how do you clean them to repurpose them?
Okay, so there are different methods, but I'll tell you two. One, you can preheat your oven and then you put the containers inside. Don't shut for about minutes, depending on how hot. And then as soon as it melts, you bring them out and get either a paper or carton and pour out the wax inside, and then you put it in the dustbin. Never pour liquid wax inside your sink. So
Uh-huh.
you just use tissue paper to clean the container, and then you allow it to dry. Once it cools down completely, then you can go ahead and wash it with soap and water. A second method is you can dip the glass container inside hot water, and then you just allow it to melt. Once it melts, then you just pour it out into your maybe newspaper or carton or something, wrap it up, and then throw it in the dustbin. And then you clean out the container and wash it with soap and water.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So I've
But
learned some.
make sure that the container has perfectly cooled down because of the contrast between the heat and then the cold water. That can damage the container. So once you pour out the wax, you clean it out with tissue completely, allow it to cool down, and then you gently wash it with soap and water.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
And obviously, sorry, once it's hot, the wick tabs at the base of the container would come off easily.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
Yes.
I particularly love the suggestion you gave about planting in the candle bottles, because I'd been looking for where to plant herbs, because I now take
Ah,
yeah, I've been looking for where to plant herbs, and I've been cracking my head, and I wanted to put them indoors. So this just serves the purpose for me perfectly. And I didn't know how to go about cleaning. When I heard, oh yeah, I could use my old candle bottles for that, I didn't know how to clean it. So I'm glad that you've taught me how to clean it. And those listening to us have learned how to clean the
yes.
candle bottle so that they can repurpose it instead of just throwing it out and contributing to pollution, waste. And so it's really exciting. What are your thoughts about how to responsibly dispose of candles and diffusers when they have reached the end of their life? I know you just discussed one, which is repurposing them, but if you don't repurpose them, how do you safely and responsibly dispose of candles and diffusers?
Okay. So just make sure you don't pour them, like diffuser content, don't pour it down your sink. Make sure you pour it outside in the gutter or somewhere, but not in the drain. Also with wax. And then you can just some, depending on your community, there are some places that have recycle bins. If you have those, like some have labeled waste bins where you can keep things that can be recycled. So you could look for those kind of waste disposal options. Some, even locally, you have the babambola. If you don't want it, someone else may want it. So those ones collect those things. And let me say 2 years ago or last year, I had a supplier, there was a company in Lagos that I used to order glass containers from. So those ones used to collect waste glass bottles, any form of glass bottles, and they used to recycle them into beautiful candle containers. So you give them your design, and then they recycle the glass, put it in the furnace, and then they blow it out. So they make different designs. But now I think they've wound down their production. But you could get some of those people that collect these containers instead of just having to throw them out in the dustbin.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, for someone like Sarah who is based in Lagos, I'm sure she's excited because in Lagos they have all these recycling waste bins. I've seen that a few times.
Okay, in Lagos, right? Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that. I think they are taking their environment conscious. They're more environment conscious, and I hope that that sort of kind of transcends to other
Trickles down. Yes.
down to other
We can
parts
also
of
start it. We can also start in Abuja.
Yes, we can start in Abuja.
Because it's a fantastic idea.
Yes, it is
because you have the different bins, they'll just label it. You can put plastic here, put glass here, put combustible, some batteries, they label these things and then they collect them and then they go and recycle them.
Yes. So I think now that we're having this conversation and people are listening to us, so maybe we've created a consciousness within someone to say, okay, this is a business idea. This gap exists. I can actually begin to deploy a model where I'm collecting things that would ordinarily have ended up in landfills. And because of the IFRS sustainability standards, if that is your business model, you would be reporting the opportunity. So you are not contributing to degrading the planet or emissions. Rather, what you're doing is you're reducing waste. And with,
Yes.
I don't know if you're aware, we have a Climate Change Act, a Nigerian Climate Change Act that was signed by President Muhammadu Buhari in 2021. And what that act says is that Nigeria would have a carbon budget. And what a carbon budget is, the amount of carbon emissions that Nigeria would, as a country, would be expected to meet. And this will be cascaded down to organizations, both private and public entities. So everybody will have a carbon cap. So for instance, if I'm a company and my carbon cap is maybe 1 metric ton of carbon dioxide, and I am doing a business that reduces emissions because I'm recycling or I'm taking away something that would have landed in the landfill and contributed to carbon emissions, it means that I may not meet my carbon cap. So that's excess that I've not used, I can actually sell it as a carbon credit to somebody else and make money. So people now need to see. Yeah. So, but for someone who has emitted more than their cap, there's a penalty. They're supposed to pay a certain amount per metric ton of carbon dioxide emitted above their own cap. They have not yet issued the budget for Nigeria, the carbon budget. It has not yet been cascaded down to organizations, but it's just for people to know that this law exists. The National Council on Climate Change is in charge of that carbon budget and cascading it down to organizations. And it's not limited to only private organizations, both public and private. So people are aware and they can begin to look at what opportunities, what business can I come up with that can help me benefit from some of these initiatives that are currently in existence. So that's really, really amazing. And beyond looking at it as a business, it could be something that is done as part of community service. One thing I've always wondered is why we don't have the culture of having yard sales in Nigeria. So you have people, it's something that's very common in the Western world, but not so common in Nigeria. So we end up buying everything brand new, and when we no longer need it, we kind of either just trash it somewhere in our house or throw it out, whereas somebody else might be looking for that same thing and does not have the money to buy a brand new one. And the one you have in your house might still be in a very, very good condition. So maybe that's another culture we now need to begin to emulate in Nigeria, and not have any sort of shame or prejudice, because there's something, some people might think, oh, I'm going to a yard sale, I'm buying something, people may look down on me. So maybe we now need to speak up more to say, you know what, you can look at it from the perspective of reducing waste. It's not that you're poor, but you're reducing waste, because this is something that would have otherwise been thrown out, but you are buying it from the person and reusing it. And so you're reducing waste. So we just need to find ways to keep pushing out this narrative so that people begin to look at the fact that when I do this, when I visit a yard sale, it's not something that I should feel ashamed of. Rather, I should be proud about it. Yeah. So that's amazing, amazing. So how do you see the future of candle and diffuser manufacturing evolving, bearing in mind that we're moving more towards sustainability?
Okay, so I see that a lot more companies would adopt minimal, recyclable, and biodegradable packaging to minimize the environmental waste. And then more companies would educate consumers about sustainable practices and responsible disposal. And then more manufacturers will invest in energy efficient equipment. Like for me personally, it was a number one focus. So I use very minimal energy in my production. Yes, very minimal energy in my production. So instead of doing it in small batches, I got the bigger equipment that I can just dispense them at once. Once the thing is hot, you can just put it off, and then you do your production, you batch your production. So you look for ways to reduce, to ways of being energy efficient. And I think more companies would invest into that and then reduce carbon emission. And then also the company that I ship my products with in the US, you pay a little fee. And then there's something that they call the cars emit this CO2 to clean. There's a carbon cleaning that the transport companies do in the US. So I think more people would rely on those companies to for like logistics. More companies will say, okay, you are using this system to transport our goods. Okay, I would prefer if you are sustainability conscious, you would now patronize more of those companies, and then manufacturers would offer more options for refill and reuse of the product. So those are some of the things that I think would be the future of candle making. A lot of manufacturers will look into these things.
Excellent, excellent. Sarah has a question, but before I go to Sarah's
question came in.
Yes. Okay. Can you see it, or should I read it out to you? What's the drive behind wickless candles?
Wickless candles. Okay. Yeah. So wickless candles, yes. It's actually a system. So it's like a lamp. You buy the candle as a normal candle, but there's no wick inside. And then so instead of the flame, it's for people that actually are very conscious about flame. So the wickless candles are for people that are very conscious about flame, especially if you have children or pets. So you just use the lamp and then you put the candle on the lamp, and that lamp would now melt the candle. So yeah, you can say it, but you're still using energy. So in terms of energy efficiency, you're still using electricity to light that lamp. So as far as I'm concerned, it's not really energy efficient, but it's a safer way for people that do not want flames, for people that want flameless candle. And then clean burn, obviously. It will burn cleaner because you're not using a wick with an open flame.
Yeah, excellent. So that might work very well for someone like my mom who is asthmatic, possibly, because
Yes.
my mom is very concerned about fragrances because of her asthma attack. So I think something like this might work better for her than the ones with wick, the
It's
smoke.
the same thing. It
Oh,
will
it's
still, yeah, it will still emit. If she's going to be allergic to the fragrance, then it will still emit the same fragrance as it would if it had a wick inside. So
uh-huh.
maybe she can go for their milder fragrances that may not upset. And then some manufacturers use a lower fragrance load. So the candles will not be as strong. They
Uh-huh.
also tell you, like, there's a company in the US that I know that they say that they don't want overpowering or very strong fragrances for their candles. So they pride themselves in having subtle fragrance candles, and a lot of people go for those ones. So yeah, when you enter, it's there, but it's not really so strong. So probably that will work for her.
Oh, excellent. Thanks. I didn't even know that there were some with lower fragrance
Yes,
loads that are targeted at people who may have asthma. So it's exciting to find that out.
yes,
I tend to prefer the heavier fragrances. In fact, that was
yes.
why your spicy orange. I loved your spicy orange. I've now had to transition to uh,
Citrus bus,
yeah, citrus burst. Yeah, I love really strong fragrances.
strong.
Maybe, yeah, some people get
A
into
lot
my,
of Nigerians do.
oh, okay, because some people get into my office or my home and they're like, wow, this place is really has very nice fragrance. And then me, I'm staring at them and they're like, it's quite strong. And I'm staring at them,
Yeah,
really,
used to it.
I'm used to it. I'm used to it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, used to it.
Yeah, so excellent. I didn't even know we had things called wickless candles. So thank you so much, Sarah, for that really excellent question. And it makes sense for people who don't want flames. Maybe they have children, or maybe they even have flammable objects within their premises
Yes,
or burning the candle. So it's just better to use that other.
some even have a phobia.
True, true. It might, yeah, very true. People have phobias for different things. So that's really exciting. So Maria, we're almost at the end of our 1 hour. It's been a pleasure.
Wow.
Yeah, I checked the time. It's 10:51 already. It's amazing how short time looks when you're having really, really interesting conversations. So for me, I think one thing I really would like to take away from here is the fact that there are different types of wax that are used in making candles. We also have the
Yes.
wick. The material that is used in making the wick could be something that is eco-friendly, or it may not be eco-friendly. Then you mentioned that dyes are used in making candles. And from my understanding, dyes are a lot of chemicals. There
Yes.
may be natural dyes like henna, but I don't know if in the candle making process, there's a consideration for using dyes that are more natural rather than using the chemicals that have harmful impact on the planet, on the environment.
Yeah, so there are a few, will I say, natural dyes, but to be honest, most candle companies that are conscious about the eco-friendly candles, they eliminate the use of dye in their candles
Oh,
because,
excellent.
yes, most candle companies that are into the environmentally friendly candles don't use dye in their products. But there are a few in the market that claim to be, will I say, environmentally friendly. Like they have some natural things that they've made to be compatible for the candle making. But most of the time, it's best to eliminate the dye if you want to go the sustainable route.
Wow, excellent, excellent. So, in fact, having for this podcast, I did some research, and that's where I found out that paraffin, beeswax, soy wax are the more natural option, while paraffin, which comes from petroleum, is
Yeah.
the less eco-friendly option. But then, interestingly, paraffin is the most popularly used.
Yes, but the truth is, paraffin, there are different grades. There's the very low grade, and then there's the high grade. And the high grade premium quality paraffin has been refined very well and has a lot of additives. So it's not as unsafe as the very low grade paraffin wax. So the best thing is always to get your things from a reliable supplier that establishes the data for each and every raw material that you're going to use for your production. And that way also you can always have consistency. Anytime you go, you know what you're getting.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that, Maria. I've solved the problem by having you as my go-to person for candles and diffusers. So I don't need to be cracking my head, going for a reliable supplier. And I love that because a lot of times we don't even have the expertise or skills to check and see if what we're buying is actually eco-friendly. And because of the prevalence of the fact that people know that people are going for sustainable options, a lot of people are claiming to be sustainable where they are not.
They're
So
touting it. They're
they're
touting
touting,
the word.
honestly, it's like everybody is suddenly eco-friendly and sustainable. So that is why it's important to always deal with someone who is credible. And I'm glad that I am constantly always coming back to you for my candle and
Thank you
diffusers.
so much.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. And apart from the fact that you have credibility, the fragrances are amazing. Like I said, I wasn't joking when during your introduction, I said my sister-in-law, who is based in the UK, always buys her diffusers from here. So
I
if
think maybe they just placed an order this week.
you see, so it's amazing. As in, so I just
Last
wish
week.
last week. I just wish I could shout more about you because another thing is what I've noticed since I started this journey is that there are a lot of people in their little way who are doing the right things, but unfortunately, people are not aware that this business
Yes.
are.
True.
So I just hope that through my podcast, I'm creating some sort of awareness about the fact that we have people who are actually doing the right things for the environment, for the community, and people just need to be aware. And so it's been a pleasure, Maria. I don't know if you have any last word. I noticed we just had a guest join
Thank
us
you so
and
much.
we were about rounding up. So, Maria, I don't know if for the benefits of Helen who just joined us, you can just summarize maybe in a few minutes all we've talked about so that she hasn't joined us in vain.
Oh yes. So we were talking about sustainability around candles and diffusers. So we're promoting the use, the consciousness of eco-friendly candles, and would advise people to reuse, recycle their containers, burn candles sustainably. Always look out for candles that use the natural waxes and that have environmentally friendly raw materials. They may say it on their website or on their packaging or in their marketing message. and always be environmentally conscious when you're disposing of your products. And then it's better you lean towards products that minimize waste, like they use minimalistic packaging, so you also help to reduce waste. And then you can also reuse some of these containers. We spoke about how if you're tired of even refilling your candles or your diffusers, you can use them as flower pots for small potted plants. You could use them to hold your makeup brushes, stationery, put cutting boards. So some of those things are what we discussed. Be conscious about your environment when buying products in general, and especially candles and reed diffusers.
Thank you so much, Mara. You've beautifully summarized everything we discussed about. And Helen, this is also being live streamed on YouTube. So you could go to Grace_Fatogbe on YouTube to watch the entire episode. And Maria, thank you so much for spending this 1 hour with you. I've learned so much, and I'm glad that we had this conversation. And I hope that this conversation creates awareness around the fact that there are sustainable candles and diffusers here in Nigeria. We have businesses trying to do the right thing, even if it is not the most popular thing, but they're doing the right things. And my plan is to make sure that we use this platform to create awareness around the fact that there are people doing the right things and that we should support people doing the right things. Before I close, one thing I've always wanted to achieve is how to recycle the containers for hand wash, because it's something. So I was really excited when you mentioned that there are businesses that you just simply go with your container and then you refill for hand wash, for creams. So I just pray that we're able to push that message out, because that's another way where we amass a lot of waste.
Yeah.
Because the hand wash container, if I'm not mistaken, is maybe 250 ml or 500 ml max. And then it's something we use consistently, because each time you go to the bathroom, you wash your hand. So you can imagine the waste coming from that. So that would be something that we would need to look at
I'm
how we can.
also about to start that. You just come in
Oh,
and
excellent.
you can come in with your container and just dispense the product into it, and then you go. If you come with
Excellent.
200 ml, there's a price for 200 ml refill. And it costs significantly, because the packaging really contributes a lot to the cost of the product.
Oh, excellent. So we just need to push out that message, because I didn't even know you were going to.
It's like when you go to the restaurant, they say peatless drink. You just go to the machine and then you dispense the soft drink from the machine. So that's how it will be. You just go and then you dispense it into your container.
Wow, excellent, excellent. So we need to push out this message that exists, because it's something that has been bothering me for a while. And I'm excited that you're about to start that. So I have my containers. You will definitely be seeing me. Thank you so much, Maria. And thank you
Thank you. This was interesting.
thank you to Helen, Juliet, and Sarah that joined us today. It's been our pleasure having you. Watch out for our next podcast, and we'll be looking at how artificial intelligence can be deployed into sustainable practices in Nigeria. We'll also look at how we can use artificial intelligence to improve innovation amongst our younger generation. So on that note, I'd like to say thank you so much for joining us. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much for being here.
Bye. Thank
Very
you.
interesting.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.